Hi, in this episode we are going to consider the legal processes leading to a valid land transaction before you legally obtain a valid title in Kenya. It is important when you are starting a land transaction to carry out a due diligence on the particular parcel that you wish to acquire. Normally, the starting point is for you to carry out an original or rather an official search for the particular parcel of land to find out the registered owner, and first of all whether that land is actually registered, and also to consider the issues such as area and whether the land has encumbrance that would restrain the registered owner from selling. Now, besides the official search, there are other important things that you need to consider when carrying out the due diligence. The first one is to ensure that the person you are dealing with is the actual registered owner. That is to do everything to ensure that you are dealing with the right person and to ensure that you are not dealing with a fraudster. Because as we speak, identity theft is on an increase. That is forming the large part of land fraud in Kenya currently. So you have to carry out the necessary due diligence on the identity document or the person you are dealing with, and to ensure that that is the very person you are who is the actual registered proprietor. And if you are dealing with a company like Emmaus, the very first thing you have to do is it is necessary to carry out an official CR12 from the registry of the companies to ensure that the persons you are dealing with as the directors are the actual directors. And from there, after you have carried out the due diligence, the next step is to enter into a binding agreement with the proprietor. The law has requirements that particular, or rather on the form of the agreement, it provides that agreement has to be in writing, and it has to be signed by the parties, and it has to be attested by witnesses. And that is why you will see in most agreements that we do, there is, we always leave space for witnesses, whether it's a lawyer or somebody else, the advocate carrying out the transaction. And after you have complied with all the terms of the agreement, that is by paying the purchase price as required, the vendor or the person selling the land is required to bring you certain documents we call the completion documents, and which include the original title deed for the particular land you're purchasing. Also a transfer document which is duly stamped or signed by the parties and duly stamped and witnessed. And after and other documents include the identity card. He will give you a copy of the ID, a copy of his KRA PIN, as well as a copy or other passport photographs. And also, if the land is matrimonial in nature, you also need to obtain a spousal consent from the spouse or the person who is selling to you, if it's an individual. And the last one, if the land is controlled, meaning like most of the freehold land or agricultural land, you need to obtain a consent from the area land board authorizing that particular transaction to take place. And it is necessary that this document is obtained because unless it is obtained, the entire transaction is normally avoided by the law, meaning that it is becomes null from the beginning. After you've obtained all these documents, the next step is to now undertake what we call the valuation. The land has to be valued, and the purpose is to establish the value for the purposes of the stamp duty. Stamp duty is the tax that you pay to the government to legalize that particular transaction. And after you've paid the stamp duty, that is, valuation has taken place, and you have generated the necessary documents with the KRA and paid the duty, you will return those documents to the ministry, or rather to the land registry, for booking. And it is upon booking these documents that the land registrar will check through the document for completeness, and if they're okay, the land registrar will register that particular transfer and issue a title deed, signifying the end of the process. Now, to make these processes easier for you who is purchasing land from Emmaus, the company undertakes all these processes for you to ensure that you do not have to queue in the various registries, in the various departments seeking this particular service. We ensure that these documentation are done for you, and they are procedurally done to ensure that the end product is done not only fast, but also at least cost to you, the purchaser.